Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Wind Down Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, April 24th. Oh my goodness. I am so excited for tonight's episode. So grab whatever you need to get comfortable and cozy this Wednesday evening, and we'll be back in about 30 seconds. Excited for tonight's episode, but y'all, you know me, I'm going to mention we have our free one-day mini conference coming back this summer. We have 3 different locations that we're so excited about. Again, this is a free event. Registration numbers are already beginning to climb. I'm a little bit worried that we're going to max out earlier this year than we did last year. So please get registered. I don't want you to miss your spot. We'll be in Normal, Illinois on July 9th. We'll be in Wheeling, Illinois on July 16th. And we'll be in Palos Hills on July 23rd. Grab a teammate, come, get your learn on, get some fun on. We're going to have a really great time. So we're really looking forward to that. And we hope to see you then and there. Those are all the announcements I have for tonight, which is wild, but I am so excited because tonight's author, as we are celebrating National Multilingual Learner Advocacy Month, I cannot wait for y'all to hear about this incredible human being, author extraordinaire. We're going to get all into it, but Valerie, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Thank you so much for inviting me, Carly. I am super excited to have this conversation with you. I'm doing well. Spring is here, and I'm here for it.
Yes. I am so here for spring. I am like totally one of those people that are like impacted by winter and like the winter blues and all of that. So spring is springing, it's doing its thing, and we're loving that. We're so excited to have you tonight. So Valerie, if folks are tuning in tonight and they have not yet been connected to you, please tell us just a little bit about who you are and your passions and some of your work.
Oh, great. So if you haven't connected with me yet, please connect with me. I love to be connected to others that are passionate and driven about bilingual and multi-ethnic and multilingual families and literature and literacy. So a little bit about me. I have been in this beautiful education, teaching, and learning space for over 20 years. And I have been a classroom bilingual teacher, a high school dean, a district administrator. I have the privilege to teach adults now as well, Spanish, and all sorts of wonderful activities that I'm involved in. A big thing that drives my life is running. So I am in the midst of preparing for training for my 4th marathon in Limerick, Ireland on May 5th. So that's a bit about, and the reason I mention it is anybody else who's either loves running themselves or loves someone who runs, you know that we kind of take every opportunity to talk about how wonderful it is and how it has such a positive impact on all areas of our lives. So
I love that. That's incredible. So that's coming up pretty soon.
Yes.
Ireland. Oh my goodness.
Yep. Super excited. It'll be my first marathon in another country. So I'm very excited about that.
Well, we are cheering you on. That's fantastic. That's incredible.
I know that that's not why you invited me to this conversation, but again, runners, that's what we talk about.
Yes. And you know, like we are human beings that are passionate, and we're full of like all these different pieces of our identities, right? So I think that's perfectly relevant. Absolutely.
It truly is, because people use the term, marathon oftentimes as a metaphor for life or for any big project. And Tumbao Bilingual Books, and really this journey that I've embarked on with my co-owner and co-author, Dr. Rita Guzman, we are very much approaching it with that marathon mindset, that, the finish line really is our ability to reach as many children and families and teachers who want to embrace multi-ethnic families and multi-ethnic language, and what that looks like and sounds like and feels like. Because I know myself, as a Black bilingual classroom teacher, I struggled to find who's raising a daughter who's Afro-Latina, right? My husband is born in the US, but he's first generation. So my in-laws immigrated from Mexico, and we struggled to find books that reflected what our family looked like. And to be totally honest with you, like there was pain in that, and it bothered me. It bothered me for a long time that I wasn't able to find books that really amplified Afro-Latinidad. It's there, but it just wasn't visible in the books that I was seeing in my classroom.
Yes.
You get to a point in life, you truly do, after you pass the fourth decade, where it's like, are you going to keep talking about a problem, or are you going to do something to try and make it better? And so the reason why I decided to embark on this journey with Dr. Rita Guzman, is because I wanted to be able to look back and say that I tried to do something about it. I tried to amplify the visibility of Afro-Latinos, of multi-ethnic families in Spanish, English, bilingual children's literature.
Oh, that's incredible. That has me so fired up right now. There's so many pieces that you just touched on, but like so for me growing up, right, I've got my really light skin. I'm a white lady, blondish, like bright blonde hair. Yeah. And my mom always did this thing when we were little, just to help us understand a little bit about overrepresentation in the world. And she would bring us into like the toy back in the day when we had Toys R Us, right? I don't know if that's still a thing or not, but
no, girl, Toys R Us.
But she would have us go into the Barbie aisle, and she'd say, "All right, girls, count the Barbies." And me and my two sisters, we would count all the Barbies, give her the total, and we would kind of roll our eyes because we're doing the Barbie thing again. But then she would say, "All right, how many look like you girls?" And we'd count them, and like almost all of them look like us. And then she'd say, "How many of them look like your neighbors and your friends and your classmates and everybody else?" And we would always we'd have the answer, like maybe one, maybe this one, and this one doesn't even look like them, right? But she would guide us through this conversation as young girls. And so that has always stuck in my mind. Just like, again, that's just a Barbie doll, but about the text that we read and the themes and the topics that we learn about in classrooms, right? So I'm so like honored that you're sharing your journey in this, because it is very personal to you and to your family, but also it's personal to all of us, because as we serve, right, all of our students, it is vital that they have books and resources and curricular materials that represent who they are, right? Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about some of your books. So I've got
Look, we're twinning.
We're twinning. And I love it. So tell us a little bit about this book and maybe other books too.
So our very first book, we're going to the Guelaguetza. Vamos a la Guelaguetza. This book was really born from my own family's experience celebrating the Guelaguetza. But here's the thing, and as you said, you'll appreciate this as a teacher, right? We make our text-to-text connections, text to self, text to world. So first of all, every experience I've had so far, there's been very few encounters I've had since introducing this book at schools and reading it to teachers and in front of students and children. Most people so far that I have encountered don't know what the word Guelaguetza means, and they weren't familiar with the celebration Guelaguetza. So the word Guelaguetza is actually, it's not a Spanish word. It comes from the Zapotec language. And literally the translation is loosely translated as the reciprocal giving and receiving of goods and services. That's what the word Guelaguetza means. But the meaning behind it is so special because every year for centuries, the different indigenous communities in and around the Oaxacan state of Mexico, throughout that state, there are several, it's very diverse in terms of the different indigenous communities, but every year they come together and they celebrate for 3 consecutive Mondays, beginning in July and going into usually the first Monday in August, a celebration known as the Guelaguetza. And it is just, if you are going to be in Oaxaca during that time every year in July, what you will see and experience is just pure cultural delight. You will see parades and music and dancing. But if you're just a tourist and you're not, you're just there, you're like, wow, this is great. It's like a party in the streets. It is, but there's a very significant meaning behind it because they are celebrating the fact that despite the fact that they're all very different in terms of the different indigenous communities, they have differences clearly. However, they all embrace the term Guelaguetza because they truly believe that in order to have a strong community, you must embrace the concept of giving and receiving gifts and acts of kindness and service. So honestly, I can't imagine there being any classroom or any school or any family that wouldn't want to emphasize that concept of in order to have, because strong communities really start with strong families, right? And strong homes. And that the foundation that they believe culturally in Oaxaca, they believe in it so firmly that they celebrate it with so much beauty and passion and energy every year. And it's called the Guelaguetza. So Rufina, she doesn't know what the Guelaguetza is either. But when her grandfather picks her up from school, he's so excited to share with her that in July, this summer, their family's going to travel to Oaxaca during the Guelaguetza, very much like how our family goes. Well, we're going this July, and we'll be there for the entire time and sharing our book this time, which is super excited. But as she goes throughout the story, she goes to different people in her family and asks each of them, and they all look different. Some of them look like me, her mom, and some of them look, different complexions, different hair textures. But she asks each of her relatives, what am I going to see at the Guelaguetza? What am I going to taste there? What am I going to touch? What am I going to smell? So any of you who have ever taught kindergarten, first or second grade know that the 5 senses are right there in the curriculum. You're going to teach them. Why not have a really beautiful, culturally relevant book that it reinforces those 5 senses, the concept of that, but in a very authentic way. And in a way where I think sometimes when some folks, sometimes when we talk about cultural diversity, it can feel a little bit like, just pushing it in. It's a very authentic, natural way of showing a multi-ethnic family that, where different family members look different, but at the same time celebrating, honestly, a holiday that, I don't know. We have books about Cinco de Mayo, Dia de los Muertos, but there are so many beautiful celebrations that are celebrated throughout the Spanish-speaking world that we need to have in our classroom libraries. Yes. So Vamos a la Guelaguetza was our very first book. And then our second one that's just recently come out is we're going to Rabinajao. Rabinajao is a cultural celebration that takes place in Guatemala every July. Since the 1930s, every year in the city of Coban, Guatemala, they have the Coban Folkloric Festival. And a highlight of the festival is the selection of a Mayan princess. It's not just a beauty pageant, though, because this young woman is chosen to represent for an entire year the beauty of her Mayan culture. And she has to demonstrate her intellect, her grace, and her demeanor. Again, a cultural celebration that is not as well known here in our bilingual classrooms, but why not?
Yes.
So,
Oh, I am so excited about that. Oh my goodness. And I appreciate so much that you said it's not like something that we have to like figure out how to fit into what we do. There's so many elements that already like pick up on standards we're already teaching and themes and topics we're already teaching. This is a natural alignment to work that we do. But I love how you said that. Why not incorporate right some new content and new learning and new understandings for our
and
students?
Yair does the same thing. So Rufina's family is multi-ethnic. Yair's family is multi-ethnic as well, with one parent from Guatemala, the other parent from the US, similar to Rufina. And this follows that similar theme of he goes to every family member and asks, what am I going to see at Rabina How? What am I going to taste at Rabina How? And Rabina How, like Guelaguetza, is not a Spanish word. It's from Quiche. So and it means, daughter of the king. So that is super cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like it's just, and I think the thing that's super cool about it is seeing when I have had the opportunity to be in front of students, to be in front of children and tell them that I'm an author and share the book with them and get to see how they react to me, like reading it in English and Spanish and seeing me in that position, and seeing the book and me telling them that if there's something that they want to do, or if there's something that they want to see in the world that they don't see yet, that they can do it. They can create it and they can make it happen. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Everything. Yes, it's a company. Yes, it's a business. Yes, I want you to buy the book. We want to spread the book, but like, it's everything to me. And it's everything when they see me and I tell them, if there's something in the world that you don't see, that you want to see, you can create it. You believe in yourself and you can create it and make it happen.
Oh, absolutely. So beautifully said. And I'm totally getting teared up over here because, right? Like, I mean, honestly, that's what we want for every single child, especially if we have students in our care who have felt silenced or they have felt like, there's this like missing piece to what we're learning or what's out in the world. Like they can be that and they can see it and hold it in their hand, especially like when they meet you and they're looking at you and they're hearing you share your story and your passion and the inspiration behind these works. I mean, it inspires kids and adults alike. Truly. Oh.
But you know what? But we're humans. Okay. Like it comes from a very personal, deep place because we do work that matters. And I think that's something we all agree on as educators, that we're doing work that truly matters to us.
Yes, absolutely. And so you mentioned a little bit, but so how do you share this work with others? Like, are you able to get into play? Like, tell us about how you're able to share some of these pieces.
Oh, absolutely. So Rita and I we've been invited to various districts to either support like their BPAC meetings. So we'll share our book and do like a read aloud with families. And one of the things that's super cool, and we've been doing this as well when we're invited for Teacher Institute Professional Development Days. So one of the really cool things that we love about our second book is in the back, and it's on our website too, all of the cognates. We are all about harnessing and leveraging the superpower of cognates for families, for parents, as well as for our educators, our fellow teachers. So some of the things that we do is when we go to schools, we'll do the read alouds and we'll model like a mini lesson in a classroom. So it's been really cool for me to like push into schools I've been invited, and I'll visit a first grade classroom, second grade classrooms, and I'll model an interactive read aloud with a cognate mini lesson. And honestly, like it's just that job embedded professional development that is very meaningful, because I know myself, and we all are different as teachers, but many teachers do, not all, but many teachers value having someone, come into their classroom and actually like model something, and you get a chance to kind of sit back as a teacher and you observe things differently from your own students. That because oftentimes when you're so busy in the middle of teaching, you may not see certain things. So it's very cool sometimes to be able to see another teacher teach a mini lesson or model an instructional strategy, and you can kind of relax a little bit and observe and reflect and do some. So that's a piece that we've been doing with our books. In addition to visiting BPAC meetings and doing presentations for families, one of our presentations that was been really popular is called "Bilingual Families Have Superpowers," and so we talk about different ways that to parents directly, different ways that the fact that they have knowledge, however much, of more than one language, that's a superpower, and we talk to them about tips and like tricks and practical things that they can do as parents to help their children like leverage the power of having knowledge of more than one language and more than one culture. And then another piece that Rita and I really enjoy doing is visiting, on those professional development days, but like sitting down and kind of like mapping out with whether it's a department head or administrators, kind of like ways to really work intentionally with their teachers, not just their teachers that already have an ESL endorsement or a bilingual endorsement, but teachers who, are maybe working on that or haven't yet, decided to get that endorsement. How can we support them with also, implementing some of these strategies that support students' language development?
Yes. Oh, that's incredible. So really, there's a lot of different avenues, right, for kind of sharing these works, right, at the teacher level, at the student level, at the family level, at the team or staff, like school staff level. There are so many different avenues and spaces, right, for folks to really get that content knowledge and that inspiration too. And I really appreciate you so much sharing about the work that you do with families specifically. I feel like here at the IRC, we get a lot of questions about, how can we support our BPACs and how can we create events that really amplify multilingualism? And so I think this is just a beautiful, beautiful way to do that. And when families and kids like together, they can see the author, right? Like in person and learning from the author directly. I think that's so powerful. I absolutely love that.
It truly is. You're making me think about how just a few weeks ago when Rita and I were in Morris, Illinois, and we were at a BPAC meeting, and we were giving our presentation on how bilingual families have superpowers. We were there to give a presentation with practical strategies on supporting multilingualism and bilingualism outside of school, like for parents. And it was through sharing our story, and that then the parents themselves were like, well, I want to buy, I would like to get some, can we get these books? And so it was like, I think there truly is something to be said for when you are willing to put yourself out there and be a bit vulnerable and like share your why behind what you're doing. It does inspire people, and it does inspire, because at the beginning of the presentation, you could tell they were a little bit like, oh, I don't know, like we can't really do that. Like, what do you want us to talk about? Cognate? Like it seemed, but then when we opened up and shared and then like kind of demonstrated how it could be, we used one of the children that was there at the meeting, like how it can be fun to point out, like while you're looking at the book together, there was that excitement. And then it was like, okay, I want to try this now.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And it's creating, right, that sense of community through shared experiences. I absolutely love that. And I want to, our time is kind of winding down, but I want to hear a little bit about, if it's okay with you, any upcoming or like any current projects that are happening.
Absolutely. So it's funny you mentioned community because that's a great segue. One of the things that we are seeing in our communities throughout our country right now, throughout our nation, is the arrival of more families and children who, we use the term as newcomer, right? Their journeys and their paths that bring us to the different communities in our schools, ultimately our classrooms, the journeys look very different. And each of those stories of every student that we say, we identify them as a newcomer, they have been on different journeys. One of the things that we're so excited about is we have our project right now with our book that the title is, it really captures how students feel. It follows the journey of Gustavo. Gustavo journeyed with his mother and his cousin Luz from a small village in Guatemala. They crossed the U.S. border, and they've made their way now to a new community in the United States. And our book, our newest project, it presents from Gustavo's perspective what his first day in a school in the U.S. is like. The title of our book is Everything is Different Here. Again, welcoming Gustavo. Todo es diferente aquí. De nuevo, le damos la bienvenida a Gustavo. So Gustavo, he goes throughout his first day at school, but you first hear a little bit about his journey. And it's, have you ever been on a long journey? Gustavo has. So his mother, his cousin Luz, they went on a very long journey from Guatemala to the United States. They've just arrived in their new community, and everything is different again. So what is Gustavo's first day of school going to be like? And most importantly, how can his new teachers and his new classmates help him feel welcome? How can Gustavo's new teachers and classmates support him emotionally and socially? So this new book, we are so excited to get this into as many classrooms as we can, because we know that is not a read aloud book that currently I know of. That there's, and it's intended really for a kindergarten through fifth grade read aloud classroom. A classroom teacher, K-5, it's really appropriate for that age group. In a way of like helping to give some foundation and some understanding and some empathy, and also some respect in a developmentally appropriate way. It doesn't go into like super, and also we want to honor the fact that newcomer is a very broad term. It's like this umbrella term, but it presents a snapshot of what one child's journey has been like, and at how we can help all of these children feel safe and feel welcome in our schools.
Yes, absolutely.
So excited. And if, any questions, the best way, to connect with us is, we're on social media, our handle's right there, our website, tumbowbooks.com. And yeah, so super excited about that. I can't think of any reason why any kindergarten through fifth grade classroom wouldn't want to have that book. And it's English and Spanish. And we're super excited about it as well, because the way we have the text laid out, we are honoring those dual language colors of the text. So you will see the blue text in English, the green in Spanish, with our signature, at the, with our signature cognates at the back as well. And at the back is tips on, just generally how we as teachers can make sure that we're doing everything that we have within our power to make our students that are newcomers feel welcome and safe.
Oh, that's incredible. And I know so many folks are watching right now going, oh my gosh, I need this resource. I think a lot of us were hungry for content to share with either with our newcomers themselves or with the rest of the class. I feel like a lot of us, we have such good intentions, right? When we receive the note from the office that says, hey, Carly, you've got a new student starting on, Tuesday next week. And I'm like, yes, I'm so excited. But I also want to help my current class understand, right? And build some of that empathy of like, how can I be an inclusive friend, even if I don't have the same language skills, right? Like even if we don't share a language, we can still absolutely share a friendship, right?
Or,
And yeah.
Or have had that experience. I mean, it's a very different life experience. So, and it's not, again, we approach it where it doesn't go into all the nitty, gritty of what some of these families and children have experienced, but it presents enough so that a child would know that this child has potentially had a real tough time. It's been hard. There's been some difficulty. And so how can we help to make their new beginning here, right? Because again, the title is Everything is Different Here. Again, welcoming Gustavo. We were really intentional about, not using the word necessarily newcomer in the title, because so many, and I'll say myself as a Black American woman, I at times definitely feel sensitive sometimes about different labels that others throughout my life have tried to place on me, especially as a Black bilingual classroom teacher. So I'm very conscious about not labeling my fellow human beings. So the title, Rita and I were very intentional about, what is this really about? This is about helping students understand that for this child, everything is different here again for them. And how can we welcome them? Yes. So I think, I really hope that, everyone who's like watching and spent this Wind Down Wednesday with us, that they take that away from here. This new project, it's not about labeling these children and these families. It's about acknowledging the fact that everything is different here again for these children, and how can we welcome them?
Oh my goodness. I am so excited. I am so like my cup has been filled, I feel like, on this Wednesday night, because you just poured so many different elements of the hard work too, right? But the hard work behind what we all do every day as we serve our multilingual learners and families, and as we advocate, not just in April, but all year long, for those we serve. So Valerie, I cannot appreciate, I cannot express my appreciation more. I am so thankful, for number one, for your work, along with your co-author and your partner. I am so honored that you were able to share some pieces of your work with us this evening for our network. And please keep doing what you're doing, because we all need it so much. We need it. Our students and families need it, and our whole systems, all of our communities need it. So thank you.
Thank you, Carly. Don't hesitate to reach out. And again, I see if I were a classroom K-5 teacher, this book would be my go-to for when I get that note from the office, or my administrator that, you're going to be expected. We all have kind of our go-to read aloud books, for when we get a new student or first day of school, or we're approaching a holiday. And this is what we hope would be a teacher's go-to resource for just kind of grounding and laying a foundation for their class in preparation for welcoming a student that is a newcomer. That's the hope.
Beautiful. All right, y'all. So make sure, if you are on Instagram or on TikTok, the handles have been flowing through the whole thing, and make sure that you're following so you are up to date on all of the upcoming projects and work and how to get your hands on these resources and materials. And we're so excited to continue our celebration all month long of Multilingual Learner Advocacy Month. Friends, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Once this thing is wrapped, once this episode is wrapped, you'll be able to see it on our social media feeds. Please go and share it, or tag some of your colleagues and teammates and co-partners in this feed, so that way they can catch this episode. This one's a really important one. I know a lot of us are really excited about this. So thank you all so much. We hope you all have a great evening, and we'll be back next Wednesday. Take care, everyone.